So it's the everybody's doing it defense. You're on the Federal Reserve, lady. Don't act like you are just, an innocent individual who can not have your finances dialed in and then expect to have faith in your ability to manage national finances.
Who they won't even acknowledge whether Cook is a governor or not today, why Kugler left, and a series of other scandals. And the Fed is really kind of eating a little bit of what they've sown by trying to cover up their own dirty laundry for years.
It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat or a Fed governor or somebody who mans a convenience store. If you commit mortgage fraud, you need to be held accountable, period.
It's official. Lisa Cook now the subject of an opened DOJ criminal investigation. You see, the Wall Street Journal had the exclusive on this, and they said the probe is now discovered. Says that it centers on her fraudulent mortgage applications, explaining that the DOJ has in fact opened this thing up, and they're even issuing subpoenas out to determine what went down with her. Now, the initial scrutiny was on the property of Ann Arbor, and other investigators are using grand juries as part of the probe. So lots is happening. The investigation comes on the heels of two criminal referrals from Bill Pulte, who has publicly alleged that Cook committed mortgage fraud. Now, Cook's lawyer, Abby Lowell, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, and a Justice Department spokesperson also declined to comment. Cook filed a lawsuit. She said, I can't be fired. She said, you concocted all of this, and we're familiar with the case. But that's all we got, essentially. So not much more information on the investigation. We know about the accusations, and they say it's not a big deal, okay? A 2023 report from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philly found that 1/3 of single-family home investors misrepresent their occupancy status on their mortgage applications. Wow. So it's the everybody's doing it defense. You're on the Federal Reserve, lady. Don't act like you are just, an innocent individual who can not have your finances dialed in and then expect to have faith in your ability to manage national finances. Give us a break. All right, so we got a couple other reactions here. Bill Pulte shared this one. He said, wow, even the Brookings Institution is now even calling out the Fed's cover-up, saying they have no credibility with Lisa Cook. They better get rid of her. This is the same outfit that Democrat hack Norm Eisen works for. Wow. Okay. And they're defending her. Here's what this exchange sounded like.
Fed's ethics scandals have piled up a mountain high, and the Fed has frankly lost credibility for years, sweeping ethics scandal after ethics scandal of senior official under the rug. So it's very difficult to have any confidence in the Fed's honesty and transparency about what's going on with Cook, who they won't even acknowledge whether Cook is a governor or not today, why Kugler left, and a series of other scandals. And the Fed is really kind of eating a little bit of what they've sown by trying to cover up their own dirty laundry for years.
So quickly, I just want to get your thoughts on where Congress and specifically the Senate factors into all of this, because we've got more than 140 presidential picks as of the beginning of this week awaiting floor action. And if we're talking about the Fed composition, not to mention some of these other administration-specific appointments, that is lawmakers that are going to decide ultimately who gets the green light and who doesn't. And we also know that there's laws that are potentially, or I guess rules within the Senate that are potentially going to change around all of this too.
Yeah, look, a lot of nominees have been slaved to the traffic light of the Senate floor, and it's been flashing red. On the other hand, Senate nominees can be moved quickly through the floor if a majority of Republicans. So the fate of the Fed really rests in the hands of 4 Senate Republicans who need to stand up to President Trump and say, we're not going to do this until you nominate people who will be independent.
Okay, so I guess his thesis is that Lisa Cook was independent. We know what her background and her pedigree was, so we've got our doubts about that. Now, here is another one from Bill Pulte. He had a great full interview on with CNBC today. It's like 15 minutes long. Here's just a short snippet, though, of what he was saying, because people are criticizing. They're saying, you're attacking her. How dare you single her out? She maybe committed a crime, but you shouldn't look into her, which is interesting because that's not how they felt about anybody who was on the other side of the aisle when they had the prosecutorial power in their hands.
I don't think your primary role at what you're doing now is to seek out and find mortgage fraud.
That's completely false. That's completely false, Joe. That's completely false. My job, and I swore an oath before the Senate and otherwise, that I would root out mortgage fraud and that I would ensure that there's safety and soundness in the mortgage market.
The idea is that it might be one-sided.
Joe, I got to finish.
Okay.
I got to finish. In 2008, the Housing and Economic Recovery Act was passed and gave enormous authority to this position in which I sit. It didn't happen by accident. There was a housing crash. A big part of the reason that there was a housing crash was because people were buying mortgages and engaging in mortgage fraud. So I'm not going to be intimidated from pursuing mortgage fraud just because somebody has the special title of being a Fed governor. This is my job to ensure the safety and soundness of the mortgage market. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat or a Fed governor or somebody who mans a convenience store. If you commit mortgage fraud, you need to be held accountable. accountable, period.
All right, my friends, so that's Bill Pulte, and he's absolutely right. They do need to be held accountable, and he's leading the way, so we're happy to see it. Formal investigation now open, and the big question is still open, which is she exercising any power? Is she acting as a governor? We know that there's a meeting coming up with them. Will she be there if we don't have a resolution on this? We'll keep our eye on it, my friends. Thank you for subscribing to our channel and joining as we do.